The Galactic Stellar Council chamber floated in the darkness of space like a jewel. Inside, the massive hall stretched wider than any stadium on Earth. Hundreds of seats rose in curved rows, each designed for a different alien species. Some seats held small creatures no bigger than house cats. Others accommodated beings the size of trucks. The air smelled strange, a mix of different atmospheres filtered and blended to keep everyone alive. Today, the chamber buzzed with energy. Every seat was filled. Holographic displays floated above the center floor, showing images and data. Translator devices hummed softly, turning thousands of different languages into sounds each species could understand. Council leader Vorn stood at the center podium. His body was made of living crystal, catching and reflecting light in rainbow patterns. When he spoke, his voice rumbled like distant thunder. The topic before us today is one we have debated for an entire year. What makes a true apex predator? Today we will reach a conclusion. A chorus of clicking, chirping, and growling filled the air. Every delegate had an opinion. Ambassador Krelthos rose from his seat. His body was covered in black chitinous armor, and his multiple eyes gleamed in the chamber's light. 6 legs carried him to the speaking floor. "The answer is obvious," he announced. "The Vrax stalkers of my homeworld are the ultimate predators. They stand 12 feet tall. Their blood is acid. Their armor can withstand plasma fire. They have never been defeated by any creature on our planet." Murmurs spread through the chamber. Some delegates nodded. Others made sounds of disagreement. A massive reptilian delegate stood next. Ambassador Thexus's scales gleamed like polished metal. "The thunder serpents of my world would devour your Vrax stalkers," he said, his voice deep and slow. "They generate electromagnetic pulses that shut down nervous systems. They can sense prey from 3 miles away. They are the true apex." More arguments erupted. A floating jellyfish-like being spoke about the void whales that lived in space itself. A small furry creature described the phase panthers that could shift between dimensions. Each species had their champion predator, and none would back down. The debate raged on. 1 hour passed, then 2, then 3. At the 4th hour mark, a door at the back of the chamber opened quietly. Nobody noticed. They were too busy arguing about what counted as true predation versus opportunistic hunting. A human pushed a cleaning cart through the door. His name was Yunwoo, and he wore a simple gray uniform with a name tag. He was in his mid-40s, with tired eyes and comfortable shoes worn smooth from years of walking. His cart held mops, buckets, cleaning solutions, and various tools of his trade. Hyunwoo glanced at the assembled council without much interest. He had seen this before. He pulled out his datapad, checked his schedule, and sighed. The council chamber was on his list for tonight. He put in his earbuds, pressed play on his music, and started pushing the cart toward the far corner of the massive hall. The delegates continued their debate. Ambassador Krelthos was now arguing with a crystalline being about whether armor or speed mattered more. Neither noticed the human who began mopping the floor 50 feet away. Hyunwoo worked methodically. He had cleaned this chamber 100 times. He knew every corner, every stain, every spot where delegates tended to spill their drinks. His mop moved in smooth, practiced strokes. Left, right, left, right. The rhythm was soothing. "Adaptability is the key factor," someone shouted in the debate. "No, raw killing power is what makes an apex predator," another voice argued back. Hyunwoo hummed along with his music. He couldn't hear the debate over the song playing in his ears. It didn't matter. He had work to do. At the 5-hour mark, Council Leader Vorn tried to establish order. "We must agree on criteria," he announced. "I propose we judge apex predators on 5 factors: adaptability, hunting efficiency, survival rate, fear factor, and evolutionary success." This only made things worse. Now the delegates argued about what each criterion meant. Did adaptability mean physical adaptation or behavioral adaptation? Did hunting efficiency count speed or success rate? The questions multiplied faster than answers. Hyun-woo reached a section near Ambassador Krelthos' seat. Someone had spilled a blue liquid that was already starting to eat into the floor coating. Hyun-woo frowned, pulled out a specialized cleaning solution from his cart, and got to work. The chemical reaction neutralized the acid in seconds. He mopped it up, checked the floor integrity, and nodded with satisfaction. Ambassador Krelthos gestured wildly while making a point, nearly hitting Hyun-woo with one of his legs. The human simply leaned back, let the leg pass, and continued mopping. The ambassador never noticed. By the 6th hour, some delegates were getting tired. But the debate showed no signs of stopping. If anything, it was getting more intense. Historical conflicts between species started surfacing. Old grudges flavored new arguments. A delegate from a water world argued that only aquatic predators counted, since water covered most planets. A delegate from a desert planet argued the exact opposite. They began shouting at each other in multiple languages. Hyun-woo finished the main floor and moved to the observation windows. They were tall, stretching from floor to ceiling, showing the stars outside. He pulled out his window cleaning supplies and started on the first panel. The stars beyond the window were beautiful, cold, and endless. Hyun-woo had seen them every night for 3 years now. They didn't impress him much anymore. He focused on removing streaks from the glass. Behind him, Ambassador Thexus was now standing on his chair, bellowing about the importance of thermal vision in apex predators. His rival, a Ice World delegate, argued that thermal vision was useless in cold environments. Hyun-woo's datapad buzzed. A message from Yuna, one of the junior human diplomats. "Are they still going?" she asked. Hyun-woo pulled out one earbud and glanced at the message. He typed back with one hand while holding his cleaning cloth with the other. "Yep, all night, I bet." "What are they even arguing about?" "Predators or something. Does it matter?" "I guess not. Want coffee?" "Sure." 20 minutes. Hyun-woo put his earbud back in and returned to work. The window gleamed now, perfectly clear. He moved to the next one. In the center of the chamber, Council Leader Vorn was trying again to bring order. "Perhaps we should establish subcategories," he suggested. "Ambush predators, pack hunters, solo apex species." "That defeats the entire purpose of the debate," someone shouted. "We are trying to find the apex predator, not create a list." "But how can we compare species from different evolutionary paths?" The argument spiraled again. Delegates who had been quiet now joined in. Everyone had something to say. The volume in the chamber rose steadily. Hyun-woo reached the back corner of the chamber. He needed to vacuum here. He unplugged a cable to reach the outlet. Not noticing it was connected to one of the holographic projectors. The image of a snarling predator flickered and died. Nobody noticed for almost 10 minutes. They were too busy arguing. When someone finally noticed, there was a brief pause while technicians reconnected the cable. Then the debate resumed, as if nothing had happened. Hyun-woo finished vacuuming. He checked his datapad again. The chamber was scheduled for another 8 hours of use. He sighed. It would need cleaning again before morning shift. He made a note to come back. As he pushed his cart toward the side exit, Yuna appeared with 2 cups of coffee. She looked tired, too. She handed him a cup and leaned against the wall beside him. "How do you do this every night?" she asked. Hyun-woo sipped his coffee. "Same way they debate every day. You just keep going." They stood together for a moment, watching the hundreds of aliens argue with passionate intensity about things that probably didn't matter. "Think they'll figure it out?" Yuna asked. Hyun-woo smiled, shook his head, and took another sip of coffee. "No," he said simply. Then he pushed his cart through the door and disappeared into the corridor beyond, leaving the great debate raging behind him. The debate entered its 10th hour without any sign of resolution. Council leader Vorn had given up trying to maintain strict order. Now he simply managed who spoke when, preventing the chamber from descending into complete chaos. Ambassador Yilla, a floating being made of what looked like living gas, presented her case. Her voice sounded like wind chimes. The void whales of the nebula colonies are the only true apex predators. They feed on solar radiation. They live in the vacuum of space itself. No environment is more hostile, no prey more challenging to catch than raw stellar energy. A four-armed delegate jumped up. That's not predation. That's just eating. Predation requires hunting other living creatures. Who made that rule? Yilla shot back. Humans eat plants. Are they not predators? This opened a new branch of argument. Half the chamber began debating whether apex predators needed to eat meat. The other half continued their original arguments, ignoring the new topic entirely. Commander Drax, a being covered in what looked like living metal, slammed his fist on his podium. All of you miss the point. The phase panthers of Draxon Prime can shift between dimensional states. They appear, kill, and vanish. Their prey never sees them coming. That is the ultimate predator. Invisibility is not the same as dimensional shifting, someone argued. I didn't say invisible, I said, but functionally it's the same. No, dimensionally shifted matter exists outside our... The technical argument spiraled into physics, which then spiraled into philosophy. Several delegates who didn't understand dimensional theory simply argued louder to compensate. Hyunwoo returned through the side entrance. His break was over. He still had 3 more sections of the chamber to clean. The observation deck needed attention, and someone had reported a spill near the refreshment area. He pushed his cart past arguing delegates without looking at them. Years of janitorial work had taught him to be invisible when needed. People rarely noticed those who cleaned up after them. The refreshment area was a mess. 3 different species had incompatible biology, which meant 3 different types of drinks. Apparently, someone had knocked over all 3. The liquids were mixing on the floor, creating a chemical reaction that fizzed and bubbled. Hyunwoo studied the mixture for a moment, then pulled out 3 different neutralizing agents. He applied them in sequence, watching the reaction stop. Then he mopped up the resulting residue and sanitized the area. The whole process took 12 minutes. While he worked, Ambassador Krelthos walked past, still arguing with someone over his communication device. The ambassador's leg nearly stepped in the chemical mixture. Hyunwoo smoothly moved his mop, creating a barrier. The ambassador changed course without thinking, stepping around it. He never broke his conversation. Hyunwoo finished cleaning the refreshment area and moved to the upper observation deck. This required taking the service elevator, which was slow and smelled like recycled air. He didn't mind. The quiet was nice. The observation deck was usually empty during debates. Most delegates preferred the main chamber's drama. But tonight, Hyunwoo found a young alien sitting alone on one of the benches. The creature looked like a bundle of tentacles wrapped around a central body. It was trembling. Hyunwoo approached quietly. "You okay?" he asked in simple galactic common. The alien's translator device crackled. "First, debate. Too loud. Too much." Hyunwoo nodded. "First time at the council?" "Yes. Everything's so aggressive." "They're just passionate," Hyunwoo said, starting to clean around the benches. "Give it a few more years. You'll get used to it." "Do they always argue like this?" "Pretty much." Hyunwoo smiled. Last month, they spent 6 hours debating the proper way to classify sandwiches. The month before that, it was whether water was wet. The alien made a sound that might have been a laugh. "Seems, inefficient." "Maybe, but everyone gets their say. That's worth something." The alien seemed to calm down. After a few minutes, it returned to the main chamber. Hyunwoo continued his work. Down in the main chamber, the debate had somehow gotten worse. A new delegate, Ambassador Rixall, was presenting data on something called swarm hunters. These were creatures that hunted in groups of thousands, overwhelming prey through sheer numbers. Individual weakness is irrelevant when collective strength is overwhelming, Rixall argued. But then it's not an apex predator, someone shouted back. It's an apex swarm. That's different. Why is it different? Because it just is. The arguments had stopped making sense hours ago. Now delegates were simply defending positions because they'd committed to them. Pride wouldn't let them back down. Council Leader Vorn looked exhausted. His crystal body had dimmed, no longer reflecting light brightly. Perhaps we should table this discussion until— No! Multiple voices shouted at once. We've come this far! We must reach a conclusion. Vorn's shoulders sagged. He waved a hand weakly. Continue then. Hyunwoo finished the observation deck and returned to the main chamber. He needed to restock his cart with supplies from the storage room. As he pushed through the lower corridors, he passed other workers. A Gronthan engineer nodded to him. They still going? Yep. What's it been now? 11 hours? About that. The engineer shook his head. Glad I just fixed pipes. Hyunwoo chuckled and continued to the storage room. He refilled his cleaning solutions, grabbed fresh mop heads, and restocked his vacuum bags. Everything had its place in the cart. Organization made the work easier. When he returned to the chamber, a new argument had erupted. This one was about whether extinct predators should count in the discussion. The thunder serpents of my world are descended from the ancient devourers, Ambassador Thexus was saying. Those creatures were twice as large and 3 times as deadly. Should we judge based on current species or evolutionary peak? If the species is extinct, it obviously wasn't a true apex predator, someone argued. It went extinct because of climate change, not predation. Climate adaptation is part of apex predator status. That's not fair. You can't blame a species for asteroid impacts. Hyunwoo moved along the outer wall, cleaning spots he'd missed earlier. His music played in his ears, blocking out the noise. He'd learned long ago that trying to follow these debates was pointless. They went in circles, repeated the same arguments, and rarely reached conclusions. A junior aide rushed past him carrying data tablets. The aide looked stressed, probably trying to fact-check claims being made in the debate. Hyunwoo didn't envy them. He reached a section where the floor showed unusual wear. Probably from Ambassador Thexus's metal scales. Hyunwoo pulled out a buffer and started working on the scratches. The machine hummed loudly, but nobody in the debate noticed. Yuna appeared again, sitting down on a nearby bench. She watched him work for a moment. "Don't you get bored?" she asked. Hyunwoo turned off the buffer. "Of what?" "This. Same thing every night. Cleaning while they argue." He shrugged. "It's peaceful. I clean, they talk. Everyone does their job." "But you could do more. You're smart. You understand 5 languages. You could be a translator, a diplomat, something better than—" She caught herself. "Sorry, I didn't mean—" "I know." Hyunwoo smiled. "But I like this job. No politics, no debates. Just clean the floor, empty the trash, go home. Simple. Don't you want to make a difference?" Hyunwoo gestured at the clean floor around them. "This is a difference. They debate in a clean room. They drink from clean cups. They breathe filtered air. Someone has to maintain all that." Yuna thought about this. "I guess I never considered it that way. Most people don't." Hyunwoo turned the buffer back on. "But that's okay. Means I'm doing my job right." In the chamber center, Council Leader Vorn was attempting another approach. "Let us vote on basic principles," he suggested. "All those who believe apex predators must be carnivorous indicate now." About 60% of the delegates indicated agreement. The other 40% immediately began protesting. "This is suppression of alternative viewpoints. You're rigging the conclusion. I demand a recount." The vote collapsed into another argument about voting procedures. Hyun-woo checked his datapad. 14 hours had passed since the debate began. His shift ended in 2 hours. He needed to finish his assigned areas before then. He worked steadily, moving through the chamber like a ghost, cleaning, restocking, checking systems. The delegates barely registered his presence. To them, he was just part of the background, as noticeable as the walls or the floor, which was exactly how he liked it. As he pushed his cart toward the next section, he heard Ambassador Krelthos shouting about exoskeleton density. Someone else was shouting back about muscle fiber strength. Hyun-woo smiled, put his earbud back in, and kept mopping. Tomorrow night, they'd probably still be here, and he'd still be cleaning. The galaxy's great debate would continue, and so would his work. Some things never changed, and honestly, he found that comforting. The debate dragged into its 14th hour. Many delegates looked exhausted. Some had fallen asleep in their seats. Others had left to rest and been replaced by assistants who continued arguing their positions. The debate had become larger than any individual participant. Council Leader Vorn cycled through a list of species still waiting to present their cases. The list seemed endless. Every species wanted their say about apex predators. Then Ambassador Tolvin spoke up. He was a minor delegate from a small trading world. His voice was quiet, and most times nobody listened to him. But in the exhausted silence between two arguments, his words carried clearly. "What about the humans?" he asked. The chamber went quiet. Delegates turned to look at him. "The humans?" someone repeated. "Yes. Their planet is classified as a death world, is it not? Perhaps they have apex predators worth considering." Murmurs spread through the chamber. Most species knew very little about Earth. Humans had only joined the galactic community 30 years ago. They were relatively new, and they kept to themselves mostly. "What do we know about humans?" Council Leader Vorn asked. A data specialist pulled up Earth's file. Information floated in holographic displays above the center floor. Planet Earth. Classification. Type 7 Death World. Gravity 1.0 Standard. Atmosphere. Oxygen-nitrogen mix. Temperature range. Extreme. Weather patterns. Highly unstable. Tectonic activity. Significant. Native species. Extremely diverse. A death world, someone whispered. Death worlds were rare. Most intelligent species evolved on gentler planets. "What about their predators?" Ambassador Krelthos asked, leaning forward with interest. The data specialist scrolled through files. Images appeared in the holographic display. A great white shark, jaws open, showing rows of teeth. An orca breaching the water's surface. A lion standing over a fresh kill. A grizzly bear rearing up on hind legs. An eagle diving at incredible speed. The delegates studied the images with interest. The predators looked fierce, no doubt about that. Teeth, claws, speed, power, all the usual features. "Impressive," Ambassador Thexus admitted, "but not extraordinary. We have similar creatures on many worlds." "What about the humans themselves?" Tolvin pressed. "Are they predators or prey?" This question hung in the air. Nobody had considered it before. The data specialist pulled up human biology. A holographic human appeared, slowly rotating. The delegates examined it carefully. "Soft skin," someone noted. "No natural armor." "Small teeth," another observed. "Not designed for tearing flesh." "No claws," a third added. "No obvious weapons at all." "Bipedal." "That's somewhat unusual." "Forward-facing eyes, though. That's a predator trait." "But the rest suggests prey species. They're obviously not apex predators." Ambassador Krelthos waved a dismissive claw. "Humans are clearly prey species who developed intelligence. Look at their jobs in the galactic community. They're diplomats, engineers, janitors, merchants, teachers. They're administrators and laborers, not hunters." Many delegates nodded in agreement. It made sense. Humans didn't act like predator species. They were polite, helpful, and peaceful. Those weren't predator characteristics. "Still," Council Leader Vorn said slowly, They came from a death world. Perhaps we should examine their evolutionary history before dismissing them. At the back of the chamber, Hyunwoo had stopped mopping. He was cleaning the observation windows again, but he'd paused. One earbud was out. He was listening to the debate for the first time all night. His expression was neutral, but something flickered in his eyes. Amusement? Recognition? It was hard to say. Yuna appeared beside him again. She'd been watching the debate on her datapad. "They're talking about us," she whispered excitedly. "I heard," Hyunwoo said quietly. "They think we're prey species." "Aren't you going to say something?" Hyunwoo looked at her, then back at the debate. He put his earbud back in and returned to cleaning. "Not my place," he said. "Let them figure it out." Yuna frowned but didn't push. She returned to her seat, watching both the debate and Hyunwoo with equal curiosity. Council Leader Vorn was making calls on his communication device. "I'm requesting a human xenobiologist to present information on human evolution. We should hear from an expert before making conclusions." 20 minutes later, Dr. Sora arrived. She was a young woman, maybe 30 years old, wearing a research uniform. Her hands shook slightly as she approached the podium. She'd never addressed the full council before. "Dr. Sora," Vorn greeted her, "thank you for coming on short notice. We're examining whether humans qualify as apex predators. Can you provide insight into human evolution?" Sora swallowed nervously. Hundreds of alien eyes watched her. She activated her own data display, pulling up charts and images. "Humans evolved on Earth over millions of years," she began. Her voice was quiet at first, but grew stronger as she spoke. "Our ancestors were prey animals initially, small, weak, vulnerable. But we developed certain advantages." She showed an image of early humans chasing an antelope across a plain. "Persistence hunting. Humans are among the best endurance runners in Earth's history. We have a cooling system using sweat that allows us to run for hours without overheating. Most prey animals can sprint faster than us, but they overheat quickly. We just keep following. Eventually, the prey collapses from exhaustion. Then we kill it." Some delegates shifted uncomfortably. That sounded darker than they expected. "Humans also developed precision throwing," Sora continued. She showed slow-motion footage of a human throwing a spear. "We can throw objects with lethal accuracy at significant distances. This is extremely rare in nature. Most species can't do this at all." "Interesting," someone murmured. "Our pattern recognition is highly advanced," Sora went on. "We see patterns everywhere, even when they don't exist. We see faces in clouds, in rock formations, in random arrangements. This made us excellent trackers. We could follow prey for days using tiny clues." She pulled up more data. "Humans are omnivores. We eat both plants and meat. This made us ultimate opportunists. We could survive in any environment, eating whatever was available." "That's adaptation," Ambassador Krelthos interrupted. "Not predation." "Let her finish," Vorn said firmly. Sora took a breath and continued. "Humans hunted the megafauna of our world to extinction. Woolly mammoths, giant sloths, saber-toothed cats, creatures much larger and stronger than us. We killed them all." Silence in the chamber. "We survived ice ages that killed countless other species. We spread to every environment on Earth. Deserts, tundras, jungles, mountains, islands, everywhere. Nothing stopped us." She pulled up another image. "And then we did something unique. We domesticated other apex predators." "What?" several voices asked at once. "Wolves were apex predators. We turned them into dogs. We selectively bred them for 40,000 years. We took one of the most dangerous pack hunters on Earth and made them our companions. They hunt with us now. For us." The chamber was very quiet now. "Humans also domesticated horses, which gave us speed. We domesticated cattle, ensuring food supplies. We bent other species to our will, shaping them to our needs. Sora's hands stopped shaking. She was gaining confidence. Here's what most species don't understand about humans. We never stopped being predators. We just changed what we hunt. What do you mean? Vorn asked. We hunt problems now, Sora said simply. We see inefficiency, and we hunt it until it's solved. We see disease, and we hunt it until we find a cure. We see the unknown, and we hunt it until we understand it. We're persistence predators, and our prey became knowledge itself. She showed a final image. Humans working in laboratories, building spacecraft, performing surgery, writing code, teaching children. Every human job is hunting. Engineers hunt technical problems, doctors hunt diseases, teachers hunt ignorance, scientists hunt mysteries. We've turned our predator instincts toward civilization, but the instinct never went away. We're still chasing prey. We're still running it down. We never stop until we catch what we're hunting. The chamber sat in stunned silence. Ambassador Krelthos slowly leaned back in his seat. He looked at the human janitor at the back of the chamber. Hyunwoo was cleaning chemical bottles, organizing them by type and danger level. His movements were efficient, practiced, purposeful, still hunting, Krelthos realized. Just hunting dirt and disorder instead of animals. The ambassador felt something cold in his thorax. It might have been fear. It might have been respect. It was hard to tell the difference. Other delegates were having similar realizations. They began looking at the humans in the room differently. The janitor, the aide carrying data tablets, the engineer checking life support systems, the translator at the communications console. They were everywhere. And they were all working, all moving with that same quiet efficiency. Always moving, never stopping, just like persistence predators. Thank you, Dr. Sora, Council Leader Vorn said quietly. That was illuminating. Sora nodded and stepped away from the podium. She caught Hyunwoo's eye as she left. He gave her a small smile and a thumbs up. She smiled back, relieved it was over. But for the council, the real realization was just beginning. The chamber erupted into chaos after Dr. Sora's presentation. Delegates who had dismissed humans minutes ago now argued loudly about the implications. Others refused to accept the conclusions, insisting humans couldn't possibly be apex predators. They're too friendly, someone shouted. That's just behavior, another delegate argued back. A predator can choose not to hunt. But they work service jobs. Janitors, cooks, clerks, these aren't predator occupations. Or maybe they're just hunting different prey, like the doctor said. Ambassador Krelthos stood up slowly. His earlier confidence had vanished. I want more data, he demanded. Behavior's not just biology. Show me how humans actually act. The data specialist compiled information. New holographic displays appeared, showing statistics about humans in the galactic community. Humans currently work in 47 different occupations across the station, the specialist reported. Most common jobs: maintenance personnel, food service, administrative support, engineering, medical staff, education, and diplomatic services. See? Someone said. Support roles, not predatory at all. Wait, Ambassador Thexus said, studying the data more carefully. How many humans are on this station? Current count 47. And how many positions do they fill? Approximately 212. Silence fell over the chamber. That's impossible, someone said. You mean each human is doing 4 or 5 jobs? Correct. Humans volunteer for additional duties frequently. They see inefficiencies and address them without being asked. Ambassador Krelthos's eyes narrowed. They're hunting problems, he said quietly. Just like the doctor said. More data appeared. Human work habits, human efficiency ratings, human problem-solving statistics. The numbers were startling. Humans work an average of 53 hours per week, well above galactic standard. They require only 6 to 8 hours of rest per day. They consume a wide variety of foods, adapting to almost any available nutrition. They maintain high performance in extreme temperatures, both hot and cold. They continue working even when injured or ill. "By the void," someone whispered. "They're relentless." Council leader Vorn studied the data with growing concern. What about their social behaviors? Predators are typically solitary or operate in small packs. Human social structures vary widely, the specialist reported. They form everything from small family units to massive civilizations. They cooperate on unprecedented scales while maintaining individual identities. That's adaptability again, Ambassador Thexus noted. Extreme adaptability. A small delegate from a herbivore species spoke up nervously. Have we been sharing stations with apex predators for 30 years without realizing it? Nobody answered. The question hung heavy in the air. Hyunwoo continued his work, seemingly oblivious to the growing tension. He'd moved to a section near the main floor now, close enough to hear everything clearly, even without removing his earbuds. But his expression remained neutral, focused on his task. An ambassador near him watched carefully. The human's movements were economical, wasting no energy. His eyes constantly scanned his surroundings, taking in everything while appearing to focus on nothing. His path through the chamber never retraced itself, covering maximum area with minimum effort. Like a predator scanning territory, the ambassador realized with a chill. Ambassador Krelthos approached the data specialist. "Show me human hunting behaviors, not ancient history. Now, in the galactic community." The specialist hesitated. "What kind of hunting do you mean?" "Show me how humans approach problems. Show me their work patterns." New footage appeared. A human engineer aboard a trading vessel noticing a minor efficiency issue in the engine cooling system. The footage was hours long, compressed into minutes. The human spent days analyzing the problem, testing solutions, making adjustments, never stopping, even during designated rest periods, finally succeeding, improving efficiency by 8%. The ship's captain never asked for improvements, the specialist noted. The human just did it. More footage. A human teacher in a colony school, staying late every night to help struggling students. Week after week, patiently working with each child until they understood. Never giving up on anyone. Persistence, Ambassador Thexus said softly. Exhausting the problem until it yields. More examples followed. Humans fixing things that weren't broken just because they could be better. Humans volunteering for dangerous repairs. Humans working through illness. Humans solving problems nobody else even noticed. "They never stop," someone said, and it sounded like an accusation. Council leader Vorn made another call. "I want human psychological profiles," he ordered. "Specifically their responses to threats and challenges." A human psychology consultant arrived. His name was Minsu, an older man with gray hair and tired eyes. He looked at the assembled council and sighed. "You're scared now," he said bluntly. "Good. You should be." Several delegates bristled at this. "Explain," Vorn demanded. Minsu pulled up psychological data. "Humans have what we call a fight-or-flight response. When threatened, our bodies prepare for action. Most species have this. But humans have an unusually high tendency toward fight rather than flight." "Aggression?" someone asked nervously. "Not exactly. Determination. When humans encounter obstacles, our first instinct is to overcome them, not avoid them. We're wired to solve problems through direct action." He showed brain scans, chemical reactions, behavioral patterns. Humans also have persistence beyond reason. We call it stubbornness, but it's deeper than that. We don't know when to quit. We'll work on impossible problems for years, decades, generations. We throw ourselves at walls until the walls break. Or until you break, Ambassador Krelthos pointed out. Sometimes, Minsu admitted, but usually the wall breaks first. More data appeared. Human achievements in the last 30 years since joining the galactic community. Medical advances, engineering innovations, diplomatic solutions, educational programs. Humans had contributed disproportionately to galactic progress in almost every field. "We weren't trying to," Minsu said. "We just saw problems and started fixing them, because that's what we do." A delegate from a prey species stood up, trembling. "Why are you telling us this? Are you threatening us?" Minsu looked surprised. "What? No. You asked about human psychology. I'm answering honestly. But you said we should be scared." "I said you should be wary," Minsu corrected. "There's a difference. Humans aren't dangerous unless threatened. But we're very good at persistence. If you work with us, that's beneficial. If you work against us," he shrugged, "we'll probably just outlast you." The chamber erupted again. Some delegates argued that humans should be reclassified. Others insisted this was an overreaction. A few suggested humans should be restricted to certain jobs or monitored more closely. Hyunwoo finished cleaning a section near where this debate was happening. He paused, pulling out one earbud. "Excuse me," he said politely. Ambassador Krelthos turned, noticing the janitor for the first time as more than background noise. "Yes? You spilled something here earlier. That blue drink from your homeworld. I need to clean this spot, but you're standing on it." Krelthos looked down. Sure enough, a small stain marked the floor where he stood. He'd completely forgotten spilling his drink hours ago. He stepped aside quickly. Hyunwoo moved in with his cleaning supplies, working efficiently to remove the stain. Krelthos watched him work. Really watched, this time. The human's hands were steady. His movements were practiced, precise. He hummed softly while working. Completely relaxed despite being surrounded by hundreds of aliens who were now debating whether humans were dangerous. "Doesn't this conversation concern you?" Krelthos asked. Hyunwoo glanced up, smiled slightly. "Not really. You'll figure it out eventually." "Figure what out?" "Whatever you need to figure out." Hyunwoo finished cleaning and stood up. "I just clean the floors. Politics aren't my department." He pushed his cart away, leaving Krelthos staring after him. The ambassador realized something troubling. The human wasn't worried because he didn't need to be. Humans had been on this station for years, working alongside everyone, and nobody had noticed what they really were. Not because humans were hiding, but because the humans themselves didn't think it mattered. That confidence was perhaps the most predatory thing of all. Council Leader Vorn called for order again. "We need to vote," he announced. "Should humans be classified as apex predators?" "We need more evidence," someone protested. "We've reviewed biology, behavior, psychology, and work patterns," Vorn countered. "What more do you want?" "I want to see a human in action," Ambassador Krelthos said suddenly. "Real action. Not cleaning floors or solving equations. Show me a human facing actual danger." "That's not appropriate," Vorn started to say, but then alarms began blaring throughout the station. "Containment breach," a mechanical voice announced. "Sector 7, biological hazard. All personnel evacuate immediately." The chamber exploded into panic, and that's when everything changed. The alarm continued blaring. Delegates scrambled from their seats, some heading for exits, others freezing in panic. Security personnel rushed into the chamber trying to maintain order. "What's the breach?" Council Leader Vorn demanded. A security officer checked his datapad, his face going pale. "A decorative plant from the Vex homeworld. High-gravity world specimen. The pot fell and broke. There's a Vexian snapworm inside." The chamber went silent, except for the alarm. Everyone knew about Vexian snapworms. They were small, fast, and extremely venomous. Their neurotoxin could kill most species in minutes. They were highly aggressive when disturbed. 3 ambassadors had died from snapworm bites in the last 50 years. "Where is it?" Ambassador Krelthos asked, his voice tight. "It's in the chamber, somewhere in the main floor area." Panic spread like fire. Delegates pushed toward exits. Some climbed over seats. Others used personal shields, creating protective bubbles around themselves. The orderly debate dissolved into chaos. Security teams entered with containment equipment, but they moved slowly, scanning carefully. A snapworm was only 6 inches long, but could move faster than most species could track. One wrong step, and someone would die. "Everyone remain calm," Vorn ordered, but his voice shook. Near the main podium, a group of junior aides stood frozen. They'd been taking notes when the alarm sounded. Now they were trapped, afraid to move in case they stepped on the creature. One of them was Yuna. Her eyes were wide with fear. A security officer spotted movement. "There! By the 3rd row!" The snapworm appeared, its segmented body rippling as it moved. It was dark red, almost black, with multiple legs along its body. Its front segments rose up, revealing fangs that dripped venom. It was moving toward the group of aides. "Don't move!" a security officer shouted. "We need a clear shot!" But the aides were in the way. Any weapon fired at the snapworm might hit them instead. The security team couldn't risk it. The snapworm moved faster, sensing prey. Its species evolved on a high-gravity world where everything moved slowly. Here, in standard gravity, it was lightning quick. Yuna took a step back. The movement attracted the creature's attention. It changed direction, heading straight for her. "Somebody do something!" an ambassador shouted. Security couldn't shoot. The aides couldn't run without triggering the creature's pursuit instinct. Everyone was frozen, watching in horror. Then Hyunwoo moved. He'd been standing at the edge of the chamber with his cleaning cart. While everyone else panicked, he'd been watching the snapworm carefully, tracking its movements. Now he walked forward at a steady pace. Not running, not hurrying, just walking with calm, deliberate steps. "Sir, get back!" a security officer yelled. Hyunwoo ignored him. He still held his mop. It was the same mop he'd been using all night, nothing special about it. Just a standard industrial mop with a long handle. The snapworm sensed him coming. It turned, coiling to strike. Hyunwoo didn't hesitate. In one smooth motion, he brought the mop down, pinning the creature against the floor. The timing was perfect. The pressure was exactly right. Too much force would kill it and release venom. Too little, and it would escape. He held it there, perfectly still. "Someone bring me a containment unit," he said calmly. Nobody moved. Everyone just stared. "Now, please," Hyunwoo added, still calm. "My arms will get tired eventually." A security officer snapped out of his shock and ran to get containment equipment. He returned 30 seconds later with a specialized container designed for dangerous specimens. Hyunwoo examined the container briefly. "That'll work. Put it next to me, open the lid." The officer did as instructed, hands shaking. In one fluid movement, Hyunwoo lifted the mop, scooped the snapworm with the mop head, and dropped it into the container. The lid snapped shut automatically. The creature thrashed inside, but it was secure. Hyunwoo handed the container to the security officer. "Sector 7 containment breach. You'll want to check if there are any more of these. Snapworms usually travel in pairs during mating season." The officer took the container, nodded numbly, and hurried away. Hyunwoo returned to his cart, placed the mop in the cleaning solution bucket, and reached for a fresh one. Then he noticed the entire chamber was staring at him. He looked around at hundreds of frozen faces. Delegates who had been arguing for 16 hours. Security personnel with sophisticated weapons. Trained professionals from dozens of species. All of them had been helpless. And a janitor with a mop had solved the problem in seconds. Hyunwoo's mouth twitched. Then he laughed. Not a nervous laugh or a proud laugh. just genuine amusement at the absurdity of it all. You folks have been debating apex predators for what, 16 hours now? He leaned on his mop, looking tired but relaxed. Here's the thing about apex predators. Real ones don't debate whether they are. They don't need to prove it. They just are. He gestured around the chamber at the impressive assembly of alien species. Every species here has been thinking about who they could beat in a fight. Who's stronger, faster, deadlier. That's not what made humans apex predators. Council leader Vorn found his voice. Then what did? Hyunwoo shrugged. We didn't win because we were the strongest or the fastest. We won because we never stopped. You know what persistence hunting is? Dr. Sora explained it earlier. We followed our prey for days, weeks if necessary. We didn't chase them down. We just kept walking, kept coming, never stopped. He tapped his mop against the floor. The prey would run until exhaustion, until their hearts gave out. And we'd still be there, walking, always walking. That's what humans do. We don't outfight problems. We outlast them. Ambassador Krelthos leaned forward. You're saying persistence is your weapon? I'm saying persistence is why we're still here, why we're everywhere. Hyunwoo looked around at the humans in the chamber. Yuna, still shaken from her close call. Minsu, the psychology consultant. Dr. Sora, watching from the upper gallery. Security guards, engineers, administrative staff. You asked earlier why we're janitors and engineers and teachers, because we looked at the galaxy and thought, this is dirty, this is broken, this needs teaching. And then we just started mopping, started fixing, started teaching. He pushed his cart forward slightly. And we'll still be mopping long after everyone else has given up. That's the thing about humans. We don't quit, can't quit. It's not in our nature. Even when you should? Someone asked quietly. Especially then, Hyunwoo confirmed. You've been debating for 16 hours. I've been mopping for 16 hours. The difference is I'm done. Floors clean. Creatures contained. Problem solved. I'm going home. He started pushing his cart toward the exit, then paused and looked back. Oh, and for the record, Apex Predator isn't about being the scariest. It's not about the biggest teeth or the sharpest claws. It's about being the last one standing. Every single time. No matter what. He smiled slightly. Humans are really good at that. Then he pushed his cart through the door and disappeared into the corridor beyond, leaving the Galactic Stellar Council in absolute silence. For a long moment, nobody moved. Nobody spoke. Then Council Leader Vorn slowly returned to his podium. His crystal body seemed dimmer somehow, humbled. I believe, he said quietly, we have our answer. No one disagreed. The vote was unanimous. Humans were officially classified as an apex predator species. A note was added to the Galactic Registry. Approach with respect, extreme patience and persistence. Preference for problem-solving over violence does not indicate inability for violence. Exercise caution. The debates ended. Delegates left quietly, many of them glancing nervously at the human staff members they passed in the corridors. Yuna found Hyunwoo in the staff break room an hour later. He was drinking coffee, filling out his end-of-shift report on a data pad. You saved my life, she said. He looked up, smiled warmly. Just doing my job. Maintenance includes safety protocols. That wasn't in your job description. Everything's in my job description if I decide it is. He took a sip of coffee. You okay? Yeah, shaken up, but okay. She sat down across from him. They're calling you a hero. The whole station is talking about it. Hyunwoo grimaced. Great, that'll make tomorrow's shift awkward. Doesn't it bother you that they only respected us after they saw you handle that creature? He thought about this for a moment. No, they'll forget eventually. Go back to seeing us as janitors and clerks and engineers. That's fine. We don't need their fear. We just need them to let us work. You really don't care about recognition, do you? I care about doing the job right. Recognition's just noise. He finished his coffee and stood up. My shift's over. Yours too. Right? Yeah. Come on. I'll walk you to your quarters. They left the break room together, two humans walking through a station that suddenly saw them differently. But they didn't walk differently. They just walked the same way they always had. Steady, purposeful, unstoppable. Because that's what humans did. They kept walking. Somewhere in the now empty council chamber, the cleaning cart sat in the corner where Hunwoo had left it. The mop stood in its bucket, chemical solution slowly dissolving the day's grime. The cart was simple, practical, well-maintained. On its side was a small plaque that nobody ever noticed. Hyunwoo Park, Senior Maintenance Technician, 3 years service. Just another worker in the galactic community, just another human doing their job, just another apex predator hunting problems one shift at a time. The galaxy was learning what that meant, and it would take a long time to forget.